Chris Gunzz here with Andre Rozier, head trainer of middleweight contender Curtis Stevens. He's actually the NABF middleweight champion. Andre, congratulations on another win, and an important win. Saturday night, Curtis Stevens knocked out professional gatekeeper. I think that's an apt term for him, Saul Roman, on NBC Sports. Take me through that blitz.
Well, I appreciate the congratulations. And when I was told about the bout, I had taken a quick glimpse of Saul, and I noticed that he was a come-forward, rock'em sock'em type fighter. And I said, well, this would be perfect because he's going to walk right into Curtis's firepower. And I actually predicted that he was going to get stopped in the first round. And that's exactly what took place.
Yeah, and after losing to Jesse Brinkley in January of 2010 and taking over 2 years off, Curtis came back and he went down to middleweight from super middleweight where he lost that fight. He came back 26 months later in the new division and scored a first-round knockout over Romero Johnson, and he didn't fight again in 2012. That was in March. But then in 2013 proved to be a busy and successful year for Curtis. First, he knocked out Elvin Ayala in January. Then he got some rounds in and won a 8-round unanimous decision over Derek Finley. And in August, he just beat, that was back in August, he beat Derek Finley. And then he just beat Saul Roman on Saturday. And the key to any athlete, Andre, is being active. What are the changes that you've seen in Curtis since he started getting busy this year?
Well, basically, he's been really dedicated to his training, which was one of the complications. I take glances at boxing websites, and I hear people denigrate Kurt by saying, oh, he's a bum, and he's this, and he's that. And I laugh at it because Curtis was one of the most outstanding amateurs that has boxed from the New York area, much less the United States. And he has boxed against the likes of Andre Ward in the amateurs, Alan Green, Tavares Cloud, who he beat in the U.S. Championship. So when I see these comments, I'm like, I know these are people who are ignorant to the fact of boxing. Mm-hmm. I don't take that to heart because it is what it is. My thing is that Curtis has made a huge change in his dedication and his work creed, and I'm quite proud of him because he's excelling now. And he's actually doing what he was supposed to do a few years ago when he was a little wayward and not as focused on boxing as he should have been.
Yeah. And when your fights are on TV and the knockouts are sensational like Curtis's have been, people start calling for you to step up your competition. And you'll have people calling you bum and stuff like that because your competition just can't match you. People are starting to call for him to take on a man who most people see as the monster of the middleweight division, WBA champion Gennady Golovkin. Curtis seems to welcome the fight, even saying that the same thing that happened to Roman would happen to Triple G as well. And Triple G and his people seem to be wanting to make that fight. But main events, Kathy Duva and even you yourself have gone on record saying that you think it's kind of too much too soon. What do you think of that proposed November fight with your man Curtis Stevens and middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin?
Well, Curtis is supposed to say he'll fight anybody. He's supposed to be that King Kong character. Mm-hmm. He's been blessed with the ability to render his opponent unconscious with one blow. So why not say that? He's supposed to. He's not supposed to go around saying, oh, Gennady Golovkin, oh my God, I'm afraid of him. He's supposed to say, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to whoop his butt.
That's right. Yeah.
Because he's supposed to say, if I hit him with my patented magic left hook, he's going to go and see the Sandman and dance around for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to say that. But my thing is, as his trainer and as his uncle, is to make sure that I guide him correctly. And this fight could be nurtured into a really big, explosive affair. He's doing the right thing. I mean, Gennady's doing the right thing. He's beating up on junior middleweights, and he finally fought a scared rabbit, Matthew Macklin, which was totally horrendous. So I think these two guys are building to a monster bout. They might get the chance to fight each other 3 or 4 times. You'll always have explosion, and maybe they could cart off to a club and enjoy each other's company. I don't know, but the bottom line remains is that if the numbers are right, I mean, we're ready to fight. That's the bottom line, and it's just all about the numbers and the business of the game. We're not taking short change, and not when Curtis can still win and be happy in the forum that Main Events has put together. Cassidy's doing a great job. The team at Main Events are working really well, and they're taking care of their athlete.
Yeah. And what would you like to see happen in Curtis's career before? I mean, I know you can't pass up an offer to take on the champ at any given time that you're given the opportunity, but Curtis kind of, he's been calling Gennady Golovkin out for the past couple of fights now, and your job, of course, as a trainer, is to kind of pull back and make sure that when he gets the shot, he's not only gonna get the shot, but he's gonna actually be ready to win the fight too. What would you like to see happen, and what would you like to see from Curtis in his fights that's going to make you feel confident that not only will he get the shot, but that he could win it too? Or do you feel confident already?
Well, I'm very, very confident. Honestly, literally from the point of someone who not being able to sustain, but I've never seen Gennady take a good shot from anyone as of yet. The junior middleweight guys he's fought, that's what happens to junior middleweights. They get stopped by middleweight. And that's what he's been doing. The same thing with Curtis. You put him in there with a junior middleweight, he'll knock him out. And that's what the big, strong, power punching middleweights are supposed to do. So I'd just like to see, him utilize his boxing abilities and once again, I'm reading people are like, he can't box. He's been boxing since he's 5 years old. There's no way you're going to tell me he can't box. Mm-hmm. He did a great job against Derek Finley. I would have liked him to have opened up a bit more and got a little bit rougher, a little bit nasty with Finley, because Finley was getting nasty with him. But that's Finley's game. That's why he's never officially been stopped by anybody. So, with that being said, I'd like to see him get the chance to box a little bit more and create some opportunities from his technical abilities and score some knockouts from boxing, not just from the fact that he's a brute.
Yeah, and of course you're Curtis's uncle and you're his trainer, so you know him probably better than anyone in the world. You got a real close relationship working with each other the way you guys do. And Curtis believes in himself. At least that's the image he puts out. He totally believes in himself. When Curtis talks to you about this fight with Golovkin, what do you say to him? What do you guys say to each other?
I tell him, let me handle this. I said, you keep talking the way you talk. It's all right, but let me handle this. and then he says, okay, Uncle.
Yeah. Hey, that's it. And you talked about the naysayers and the people who come down on Curtis and say that he's nothing. I was talking to someone yesterday who knows the situation and knows Curtis well. He knows Golovkin's a dangerous guy and he knows that Curtis is a good fighter. But this is what he said. He said that Curtis better be careful what he wishes for because he might just get it. He said that the problem with a lot of guys from Brownsville and New York fighters is that they think that they can claim to be the best after beating bums or tomato cans. He said that you can't compare Elvin Ayala, Derek Finley, or Saul Roman to Triple G. And he said that this is exactly the same way that Curtis was talking before he got beat by Jesse Brinkley, and that was back in 2010, and that somebody needs to tell him to be quiet and just take it slow. What do you have to say to someone like that? And I'll let that guy remain nameless. But what do you say to people that say things like that?
Well, in this game of boxing, you have those who do talk and those who don't. People pose the question to him, so he's going to respond. He's going to say, okay, Gennady, You tell me who Gennady beat, and this will be the question. Okay, he beat Gabriel Rosado. Gabe's a good fighter. We're not going to say much about that. He went 6. They stopped the fight because he was cut, and Gennady was doing a good job, but Gabe was fighting back. A junior middleweight. Mm-hmm. He stopped Matthew Macklin. Okay, Matthew Macklin didn't even want to be there. Mm-hmm. It was clear as day. Show me something in that fight that I can say Matthew was at least trying, and then I'll give you $100. Yep. He fought against Kasim Uma, another junior middleweight, and they went tooth and nail until the last round. Mm-hmm. Kasim Uma. It's easy to say about which one. It's two fighters that will meet in the center of the ring. They're both possessing punching ability. So it's not. Gennady might have to very well be careful of what he receives. Yeah. Because nonetheless, anyone can be rendered unconscious when you're dealing with guys that can punch like that. Absolutely. So my thing is, as long as Curtis is training and he's focused, he can say whatever he wants. Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's going to happen.
And he's proven it. So it'd be a difference if he wasn't.
Yep.
But he's actually proven it. Now, before, like when I told him, I honestly thought he was going to crush Jesse Brinkley. I don't know what Curtis actually did somewhere along the line that made that moment for him a very bad moment, because after the first round of that fight, I thought Jesse was done. I thought he was going to really get it, but at that point he had fell apart, and it was a lesson learned. I mean, in the back he said, "Oh, I really messed up," didn't I? I said, "Well, I mean, this is boxing. You're either going to dust off your kneecaps and stand up straight and get ready to rock and roll again, or you're going to call it a day."
That's it.
It is what it is. I mean, these things happen.
Yeah. Right.
So, you got a Soto Carras. So this kid has been chugging along in and out. So in the middle of things, he fights Andre Berto. He's a superstar now.
Yep. And what do you say to that? I mean, you got sports like baseball. I mean, you could have a horrible day and just come back the next day. But in boxing, you take a long time off in between fights. What do you think of people who just throw a guy who lost a fight away like he's nothing or he's a tomato can? I mean, it's a fickle sport.
Well, you know what? We honestly, the sport that we love. I mean, I love boxing, but the politics and the principles of this game are horrible. The fans are horrible. Not all of them, but most of them. You want to know one of the reasons why MMA is really vaulting to the top? It's because their fans are true blue. A guy could lose and fight next month, and those same fans are there. Come on, yeah, let's go, let's get it. Boxing fans are the biggest hypocrites on the planet.
That's true. It's true.
Biggest. I mean, okay, I was asked, what about Berto? I said, well, Berto's going to have to dust himself off and get ready to rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Here's what it is. He lost the fight. So what? He lost 3 in a row. Yeah. If he does his kneecaps off and gets back to work, I mean, he was a great guy before. He's going to get back on track and do what he has to do. Yeah. So, I look at boxing sites and everyone is hiding behind some, I'm boxing 440. This guy's a bum. Floyd Mayweather can't fight. He's Chicken Mayweather. Andre Ward is a chump. He's not effective. He's grabbing up. And it's always a complaint. They're always criticizing these couch boxing coaches. That's what they become. Couch boxing coaches. They're sitting down and they're writing behind a negative situation and they're hiding their identity while they do it. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll go online and attest to my name being Andre Rozier. I am a boxing coach and I am a boxing mentor. I want you to know this is how I feel. Stop being critical about the athletes that are risking their lives in the ring to perform. Stop being critical. Stop being hypocritical.
Yeah, you said it. I second that. I second that. Word for word.
So, I mean, that's basic. That's the basic lines on it. I'd like to see some realism. Let's be real about this. It's a tough game. If a guy gets up and does what he has to do, and he works really hard, give him the credit for it.
That's right.
Give him the credit for it. We'll end up losing everyone in an MMA, guys. And I'm not a big fan of MMA, believe me when I tell you, but I respect the fans of MMA far more than the fickle boxing fans that we have that are always complaining about something.
Yep. And it's going to be a great fight, Stevens and Triple G. It looks like it's going to happen in November, they're thinking, at Madison Square Garden. What is the plan to beat Triple G? What's the game plan?
Well, basically what I've been watching and seeing when it comes to Triple G is that when he gets pressed, when he's made to back up, he falters. If you let him work, of course, with anybody, they're going to get busier, they're going to get more confident, and they're going to try to set up what they're working on. But nobody's backing them up, but these junior middleweights can't. And Macklin didn't want to. That little chump. And you can put that in this interview. I say he fought like a chump. He had his moment, and he didn't take advantage of it. Not one bit. And I also want to address Abel Sanchez is talking about Curtis being green. Abel Sanchez, I've never even heard of this guy before he got the chance to quote-unquote be the coach of Triple G. Who did he bring from the amateurs? I want to know. Who did he start up and he can say, I guided his career all the way to this task? He's another trainer for hire. He talks a good game. I honestly don't even know what he knows. He was working with Tavares Cloud when he lost to Bernard Hopkins. Before that, Tavares was undefeated. I want to know what he expresses in green. Curtis has been boxing since he was 5. Once again, green he is not. The last thing you can say. You want to call him a plotter, as you say, he's a plotter. Sure he is. He plods as he stalks you. And he's stalking a whole lot more aggressively than he did before. In the beginning of his pro career, he was a beast. Then he slowed it down. Doing it again. He wants to say he throws a Hail Mary punch. Well, I will be the first to concur with that. Yeah, it's a Hail Mary punch that has knocked out 18 people and 10 of them in the first round. So to be a Hail Mary, I would love to take that to football one day, and I would be the MVP at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Andre, you tell it like it is, man.
I'm not cutting the corners on it because you know what? I've never heard of you. My kids, let me tell you something. My kids have always been my kids.
Yeah.
Curtis Stevens, Saddam Ali, Danny Jacobs. I have Joselito Collado, and I have some kids coming up in the rear. Joel Castillo, Anthony Irons. These are kids that started boxing from the core with me, and they're still with me, all with the potential to be world champions. You tell Mr. A. Sanchez, I want to know one athlete that he started from the beginning and got it to a world championship. Because you know what? And I'll tell him this. If I had Gennady Golovkin, he'd be a better fighter. And I'm saying it like that.
Yeah, wow. Well, it seems like you'll be able to tell Abel yourself. The fight looks like a go.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. That's some press conferences I want to be at. And you're not only a trainer.
That's it, Chris.
That's it. And you're the man behind Havoc. You dress almost every fighter who means anything in the game. What do you see Curtis wearing when he gets in the ring with Golovkin? When do you think about that?
Oh, listen, Chris, we might go animalistic with that one. We might go, it might be one of the beasts that hunt the Serengeti Plains. I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be something quite mean.
Everybody knows your clothing line, Andre. Tell me about how that goes. Like, people said that you'd be putting clothes together and being you're stuck. You're in the gym and you're making clothes, and you'd be telling people what to do in the ring while you're sewing uniforms and stuff. Is it still like that today?
Well, it actually it's gotten a little bit better. When people started first really getting into the game of Havoc, they started realizing that, well, you know, I'm really getting some hot uniforms from them, and I'm feeling it. Everything is good. Yeah. The demand was incredible. I was like, holy smokes. So now, like Danny Garcia, we just spoke the other day, actually. We were talking about what we were going to do for this next fight against Batista. And I said, I think, you know, he likes animal patterns and snake patterns, so on and so forth. And when I made the uniform for him when he boxed against Ab Judah, it seemed like everyone after that was wearing a snake uniform. First it was Danny, then Floyd, then I forget 2 other athletes and Danny called me and said, man, these guys are biting my flavor. I said, don't worry about it. I said, you set the precedent, you have to accept the fact that people are going to follow you. So I don't know what exactly I'm going to do with him for this next one, but it's going to be pretty sharp. And then, you know, this Demetrius Andrade, who's boxing against Martirosyan on September 7th. They're starting camp next week, and I'll be, after I finish with Daniel Jacobs' bout against Giovanni Lorenzo on the 19th, I will be going over to Rhode Island to assist in his training camp, and then we'll be off to California to bring home the WBO Junior Middleweight Championship of the World.
And that's going to be a great fight, Andrade and Martirosyan. What do you think of that one?
Well, I mean, I listen, Boo Boo's like my nephew. I love him to death. You know, that's how I refer to him. If anyone asks me, I say they all know that he is quote unquote my nephew. And Vanis, I love him too. I've been around him since way back when in the amateurs. I've watched him progress as a pro. We actually boxed against him when Joe Green fought him at Yankee Stadium. And he's a great kid. I mean, it is the business of, I know all of these kids, so eventually they have to meet. So it is what it is. You can't say anything more than that. You know, I hope everyone is safe. They put on a good show, and no one gets hurt. That's about it.
Gonna be a great fight, though.
I believe so. I believe so.
Do you have people helping you make clothes now, or do you still do everything yourself, pretty much?
Actually, I do have some help. A lot of my couture, listen at that one, Chris, couture. A lot of my couture uniforms, I usually do them myself because there's a lot of detail. And I never know what I'm going to make, Chris. I mean, my mind just sort of races sometimes. And like Curtis's uniform, I didn't know it was going to look like that. As I was working it, it just started coming together. And then I started looking and saying, wow, this piece is really starting to get hot. It's starting to get hot. And it came out really, really sharp. And a lot of people were responding like, wow, that is a beast of a uniform. I didn't look at it like that until I actually heard the responses. Then I said, let me look at what I'm working on. Let me see this. And sure enough, it just worked so well. Worked so well. So I mean, like I said, I don't know what I'm creating when I'm creating, Chris. I just put it together and watch it come to life. That's it.
That's how a lot of great artists are, Andre. They just zone out and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know what it's gonna look like. Yeah. Sometimes I have material in front of me, and I'm like, okay, where am I going with this?
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, here it comes.
Who's your favorite people to dress? Who has the most style in the game? You mentioned.
Let me see. Well, Floyd does. Floyd has some real nice flavor when it comes in the ring. Most of my guys do, because I'm making it. So. Right.
What's your favorite material to use? I've seen fighters and they came in with velvet, all kinds of animal skin, corduroy, leather. What's your favorite materials to use?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, Chris. I really like velvet. Why? Because it's beautiful. And I use crushed velvet, not regular velvet, because regular velvet, when it gets wet, it starts to lay down and it becomes kind of ugly. And you really don't want that. That you don't want. And I like to work with sequin material because it's a material that gives you so much energy in life. I mean, it's difficult to work with, but I've been doing it so long, it's like secondhand. And I also like to do fringing on uniforms, a.k.a. like the one Adrian Broner wore, which was in the Mexican colors. And he looked like if he would if he would turn around real fast, he would start flying. That's how much fringing was on the uniform. But it was gorgeous. It worked out so well. Yeah. So those are some of the things. I mean, I'll use anything. So, Chris, I'll tell you something. This is real funny. I used the tablecloth one day and made a uniform. So anything will work if I can put my hands on it.
That's it. I can't wait to see what you got, Curtis, coming in fight Triple G. What?
Oh, well, believe you me.
Yeah. What are you going to do different to train? The last question about that fight. Last question period. What are you going to do? Do you want to do anything different to train for Triple G than you did for the past few fights?
Well, if it does take place, if it does happen, I'm gonna amp up on his cardio because he's going to be throwing a lot more combinations. And he'll combinate now, but he's going to be throwing some really vicious combinations. Yeah. Because the first time that he actually catches Triple G with a good shot, the fight's going to be over. There'll be no looking back at it.
That sounds like a man who believes in his nephew and his fighter. One of the most busy guys in the sport, one of the most busy guys in any field, and one of the great people in the game. You won't find anyone to say a bad word about Andre Roger, trainer and fashion designer, the man behind Havoc. I appreciate your time, Andre, and good luck, my man. Thanks for talking to me.
So much, Chris. Anytime.